Back with another video. I'm working on my Plymouth Laser I got about a week or two ago. As you can see, the wheels are in, 30 years old. The paint's starting to chip away. It's because of the aluminum starting to corrode underneath. Moisture's gotten in there and it starts to corrode. What I'm doing is I took a DA sander. You can get this at Harbor Freight. Works perfect. Catches some of the dust, not all of it, but what you want to do is if you're near a door, if you're working inside, what I do is I put a fan on the other side of me. That way it's blowing the dust out the door. You can put it as close as you can to you. You don't need a big fan like this. A little box fan will do just fine. But what I'll do is I'll take this, I believe this is 220, I think. Maybe a little bit grittier, maybe 100, I can't remember. But anyway, I think it came with this. But anyway, you don't want to go too heavy, because DA sander like this, it'll take it down pretty quick. I didn't spend no time on this stuff. Now all I did with this is I was hitting the face of it, just getting the face nice and smooth. I was kind of flattening it out a little bit, just trying to get a little bit flatter surface. Go around all this. This is where the center cap goes. And I don't know if you could hear me doing that, but just, kind of flatten the surface out. You don't have to go crazy, but all you want to do is get all the bad rough stuff off, all the corrosion, and you want to get down to the aluminum. And but some places you won't. There'll be a little bit of paint. It's good paint. It's rough sanded, so I'm not going to spend like an hour or a week or so on one rim. What I'm going to do is I'll knock it off with a DA sander and smooth out any bad stuff with it. But what you got here is this is raised up, so it's just where like it's corroded underneath. Well, what you're going to do with that is I'm going to take some 40 grit sandpaper, and then the only places I'm going to hit with this is where it's like this, because this is all it's going to be used for, is just to knock all that stuff down and get rid of all that corrosion. I'm not going to use it where the rim's fairly smooth. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to wet sand the good spots, just to give it a rough surface to where the paint will stick, because if it's real slick like this, chances are you're going to peel off. Now this outside was a polished aluminum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that down, probably because the clear coat's gone and it's not peeling, it's just corroded. I'm probably going to take some of the 40 grit and go over that real lightly until I can see metal. And then I'm going to go over with it like 220 and then 400 grit. 400 grit, I'm not going to go no finer than that. 400, 440 or whatever. The other stuff I've got, it'll be just fine for what I'm doing. This is not painting a car. This is just the rims. The rims take a lot of abuse. It's going to get a lot of dirt. Now what I'm going to use after I use the primer, and you're going to use automotive primer. Now what I'm using today is engine enamel. Now this is chemical and fluid resistant, but you have to make sure you put it on right. You have to make sure you got a good surface. And then what you want to do after you spray this, make sure it's out in the sun where it's a decent temperature, above 75, 80 degrees if possible. The sun will actually bake this stuff on to where it becomes like a hard enamel. And it works really, really good. I've used this on engines and manifolds, headers, and all that stuff. It's important. The temperature is real important, because you want this stuff baked on there before you install anything, because it makes a hard enamel. Now, when you first spray it on, and if it's set in a garage or it's been in the shade and it just didn't bake, then what will happen is it scratches real easy. This stuff here is pretty solid stuff if you let it bake on there. Now, if you're doing it and you don't want it real humidity outside either, like you don't want it cool in the evenings. You just want it on a dry afternoon, 1 o'clock, somewhere around in there, when it's the driest and the warmest. If you run into a problem like you're saying, the temperature just wasn't right, it looks like the humidity was a little high and you did it and you made a mistake, take you a heat gun and don't burn the paint, but keep your surface of your rim warm. just for a long period of time. Just go over top of it on low, and just make sure your rim, you know, keep it about as far as, you know, you look about that far, and just kind of keep running it over kind of real slow. You don't want to keep it real. And then what that'll do is that'll heat that paint up, and it'll allow that stuff to cure real good. So I've used this and it's turned out good, but I'll do more videos. I've got me a GoPro to where I can actually, you know, make bits and pieces and put it together to show you how to do this. So like and subscribe, support my channel, and you'll get some updates. I'm just trying this on this rim, and I'm gonna clean it up. I've got 3 others to do. I am doing the bumper. The bumper was in bad shape on this car. Somebody had painted it. I think this was to another one. But I've got it rough sanded down, smoothed down, and I used 400 grit to smooth this down. And I went over it with a Scotch-Brite pad to make sure all the dirt and stuff was out. It's a little white because of I still got to rinse it off a little better. I'll take some alcohol and cleaning spirits and clean it all up before I go painting it. I priced this paint for this car, and it was like $200 for a half pint. That's expensive. So anyway, and I'm not going to keep this bumper on there. I'm doing it just because to match the rest of the car. But I'm planning on doing some mods to this car because I can't leave nothing alone. But like and subscribe, and I'll try to get you some better videos and support the channel.